fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Right, cool. Hey, give me one more Salt Strong yell. You'll be the kickoff of the video.
Salt Strong!
Yeah, baby!
I appreciate it.
Welcome everybody back to another episode of the podcast / going live. We're here at St. Pete. Just had an awesome fan riding by on the top of the bridge. Hopefully you can see it in the video. Gave us a big shout out. So we did one recently where we went live, meaning no edits, just Luke and I out in the water, everything goes, even if you watched it, me basically getting skunked at the very end. Thank goodness finally got a snook. I'm gonna blame it on the fact I'm doing most of the talking.
Lousy excuse.
Lousy excuse. But we heard a lot of amazing feedback saying, guys, that was great. I felt like I was in the boat with you, do more of these. And so if you're listening to the podcast, definitely go check it out on saltstrong.com in the fishing tips section. We're gonna start putting those videos in here with it. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube or on the blog, man, you're already getting the best of it all. So last time we went after really just an inshore slam on a day that was tough,
with
right?
Lures only, so artificial only. And we're using the paddle tails, which are just, it's a really good lure for all year long for snook, redfish, trout, flounder. But we had a lot of feedback recently about sheepshead and snapper. And because right now on the Gulf Coast of Florida, like everything else is closed. If you want to bring some fillets home for dinner, you know, basically everything's closed except for sheepshead and snapper. And that's something we really haven't covered that much. And I've been doing more of it recently because a lot of requests have been coming in, and it's a blast. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
And they're delicious.
And they're shocking. Like sheepshead are shockingly good. I forgot how good they are. And they're not they're kind of a bad rap. People saying they're hard to clean. We just did a video yesterday on that, and they're really not a pain to clean. We'll show you a little trick to make it super simple. But
the biggest trick is we're going to show you how to use bridges, and maybe there's some docks over here as well you're going to get to see in a second, to show you how to go fish those effectively with a little, you might have seen the video already on YouTube, the weedless shrimp video. And that's live shrimp, not like a weedless artificial lure. And we're going to show you that trick on how to fish a bridge with not getting hung up and breaking off your tackle as often. And
how to explore a new bridge. So neither of us have ever been here. I've never made a single cast at this bridge.
I've driven over it in all fairness.
I've never been on it in the water. I've never fished it. So this is totally foreign territory, and there's nothing fancy. Like right now, for instance, my live well doesn't even work. So we literally, there's nothing fancy included. We just have old-fashioned bait bucket.
Old school bait bucket.
With some shrimp in there.
1980s,
and then we have,
baby.
Yeah, then we have some really cheap hooks, a basic weight that's actually for bass fishing. And it works surprisingly well with fishing bridges because we're going weedless with shrimp. Everything eats shrimp. There's a lot of predators hanging around these pilings, and you have to get in there close, and it's hard to do without having a weedless rig. So that's really been the key.
Yep. And the key of this whole thing, it's not to go catch a state record sheepshead. This is what you're going to do on tough days when it's blowing and you can't get offshore at all, or if you got family, friends, and you want to get tight lines. So in all fairness, we did go out fishing yesterday, completely different area, different bridge, and we fished bridge pilings like this and killed it. We didn't catch as many sheepshead as we wanted, but the snapper, I mean, it was the second you put a shrimp in, it was like getting destroyed by snapper and of course some pinfish and smaller fish. But just a great way, especially with young kids, to go out and get tight lines. I think so many of us get caught up in, trying to impress young kids. They just want to go out and feel that tug. So this is all about getting the tug, but hopefully, if all goes well, bringing back some meat. So Luke, let's talk first.
Go ahead and start fishing.
While you're fishing, about what you're looking for. What makes a good bridge versus a not so good bridge in terms of piling sizes and the makeup and the structure?
Yeah, so the more pilings, I actually see some sheepshead right there. So the more pilings, the better. I've got something messing with me. So the more pilings, the better. I like these old school bridges. Like something's crushing. Those little pinfish or snapper messing with me. Oh, missed them. So the more pilings, the better. And I specifically like the older style bridges that have that don't have like the big, huge cements, like the big, like 10-foot wide cement things, just because there's just not as many hiding spots for both, you know, predators and smaller fish to hide. And so this one in particular, you can see behind me, I really like these fenders, right? You can see all this woodwork going down. There's a lot of woodwork under the water, meaning that there's going to be a lot of hiding places for, you know, for snapper, for sheepshead, a lot of barnacles. For sheepshead in particular, right? They feed on a lot of this hard stuff, on oysters and barnacles on these pilings. So this is a textbook type bridge. So even though I've never fished here before, I will be totally shocked if we don't catch at least a decent amount of fish. They might not be.
Let me show you guys. If you missed the video, we will. Once again, this is live, but we'll put a link to it. This is a weedless shrimp, a live shrimp. So his legs are still moving a little bit. Just ripped the tail off, and now I have a hook in there with my little bullet weight. And even though we can certainly get hung up, we've purposely we have how many?
Let me get this other.
How many rigs do we have potentially?
What do you mean?
Like how many more bullet weights and stuff do we have? Not many, right?
Yeah, not many. So
we've came out here with not that much. Though I did see
this was a last second plan.
A couple little sheepies down there.
I'm getting robbed, so for those watching, I just switched rods because I have different hook sizes, and our shrimp are a little bit small, and it seems like there's some smaller bait fish that are, or smaller snapper that are messing with me. So I at least want to get on the board before Joe does. Oh, he beat me. So Joe has, that's a good bait fish. Ooh. So that's probably what was messing with me as well. That's a little grunt.
Grunt.
But yes, that's the cool thing about this is that it is difficult to not catch anything. It's really easy just to go out and have a good amount of action. The bad thing is you'll go through a lot of shrimp there's a lot of stuff like that down there that's eating them.
On the board, baby.
But you can go out and catch. We caught a really good sheepshead yesterday. You can catch snook, you can catch redfish, you can catch grouper, you can catch.
And you guys saw, I mean, I was trying to time it, and I think that was like 20 seconds. It was definitely less than a minute, and all of a sudden got a fish in. And even though that was a small fish, I mean, for a kid, like my 3-year-old son and even my 8-year-old daughter loves that stuff. I mean, just loves getting those tight lines and even the thumps. I mean, I had 2 or 3 thumps before that. If you could see my rod tip before I set the hook, this is fun fishing. And I think we kind of take it for granted too, because it's pretty doggone cool. You know, you catch a big redfish or a trout, and especially our favorite snook. But man, doggone, for a quick, simple, like, we're going to be out here 35, maybe 45 minutes max before we have a meeting. Doggone, cool way just to come out here and get a bunch of tight lines really, really quickly.
Yeah, and so there's multiple ways to fish these pilings, and right now you just need to use the current to your advantage whenever possible. And so right now we are drifting our baits into the structure with the current. So that way we don't have to have a perfect cast. We just want to make sure we don't let it go too far back because it'll get us hung up. And just feeling for...
So, you wanted to just talk about what I did, which is the biggest mistake probably?
Yeah, I was just about to call you out on it, but...
I felt one decent tug, but it wasn't big enough and I should have known.
Yeah, so the key thing to not go through a ton of bait is to be very selective on when you set the hook. So in that case, I didn't set the hook. How about hand me one real quick? So there's going to be a lot of small fish that are just aggressively attacking. There'll be pinfish, there'll be those grunts, there'll be mangrove snapper. And the worst thing you can do as soon as you feel a little tap is just set the hook real quick, because that'll often basically pull the shrimp off your hook for those little small fish to really eat. And if you just let it sit, those pinfish really can't, and those small fish can't take down the whole shrimp. And so in many cases, I've caught some of my best fish where I'm just letting those little taps just keep happening. I just let it sit, and then eventually a bigger fish will see the commotion, and they'll go up there, and in their minds, they're gonna steal an easy meal from those smaller fish.
So you're basically letting the pinfish do some of the work of attracting the sheepies and stuff like that?
And so I was just letting, so in my case, I was letting them eat it for a little bit too long, and I didn't feel a thump, so I just kept it there, and they eventually got the whole thing. There we go. Oh, there's a better fish there. That could be Mr. Sheepshead. Sheepshead.
Sheepy, baby.
Nice work.
Oop, I want to get it away from the camera bag.
Yeah, we probably need to move that camera bag.
Soaked our camera bag last time with Captain Mark Johnson, aka Hollywood. We were doing the triple tail, and doggone, we absolutely soaked our camera bag. And
there's the right species.
Yep, a little bit too small though, huh?
Yeah.
Suck this sucker down. Let me. Where are your pliers? Are they on you?
No, by those rod holders. Yeah, and so now we know there's sheepshead here, right? That's a good sign. And so we're just gonna fish this, or continue fishing it, just really slow. And those sheepshead, they're basically, ooh, I got something a little bit better messing with me now. Still something small. Those sheepshead usually have their nose like right on the piling, or a lot of times they'll be down the bottom. So you wanted to get as close to these pilings as possible. And again, the way to do that without too much risk of getting snagged is to do it weedless. And so right now I've got totally robbed by something. There's a little bit left, so I'll just try to get revenge on whatever that is. This will probably be something small. I just need to get on the board. Joe's showing me up right now. Getting revenge from last one. Yeah, the key is, again, just to go and get comfortable with doing just short, accurate casts. You don't have to get like 100 feet away, right? These fish aren't spooky. They're comfortable by these bridges. And I cannot get hooks at them.
All right, I at least got to get some photo proof as well.
Yeah, those sheepshead those are just a really tough fish.
There you go. Woo! Yeah, baby. All right. On the board with that. So, Luke, are you letting yours go down to the bottom? What are your tips in terms of getting your bait out?
Yeah, so definitely on the bottom. I let it drop till it hits. I basically watch the line, and it's a lot of times those sheepshead, because those sheepshead will feed up and down the whole piling. Sometimes they're at the surface. I actually saw when we pulled up, there's some pretty high up, but they'll go up and down, and in many cases they'll hit it on the fall. So I will always watch it on the fall. I'll watch my line to look for like any sort of twitches or any sort of just different movement on the line. And otherwise, I'll let it fall all the way to the bottom, let it sit for about 3 seconds. And because again, many times those sheepshead will see it falling, they'll go down, follow it, they'll look at it and smell it, make sure it's good, and then grab it. And usually, if there's something there, they'll hit it pretty quick. So it's not like put it down in the rod holder type of fishing. You
checking the camera to make sure our audio, if you guys hadn't noticed, we are fishing here completely by ourselves, that's why there's no exciting angle, and hopefully the sound of the bridge is not too bad.
Yeah, there's a bunch of bait stealers. We might need to get out of here.
I'm just getting destroyed. I mean, it's so cool though. The second I'm down there, it's pop, 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 pop. It's again for kids, even for adults. I think I lost mine already.
And if we wanted to go out and just catch a ton of fish, we would just use little small chunks of shrimp and a little small hook, and we'd be catching all these fish that are stealing our baits.
Same hooks. What is this, a 1 size 1 hook, or what is this?
Yeah, size 1 that we're using here, just the old plain J hook, and a 3/16 ounce size weight. Seems to get the job done. We're in about I think it's about 8 feet of water, so this is a nice weight to get down there pretty easily.
And really, one of the keys here is this weedless shrimp, where there is no hook. Sorry, I'm rigging this guy. There's no hook tip exposed at all, and especially when you're around these bridges. You know, we used to dive the bridges in Isla Morada when we were lobster diving, and when you see the stuff that's down there, right? I mean, bridges get redone every 20, 30 years, and then so that means a lot of times the people who were working on the bridge were sloppy, and they leave a lot of old concrete and things. I mean, there's just stuff everywhere. And then you got the fact that people just drop stuff, whether it be, I remember how many like lawn chairs and just random stuff. There's just so many things to get caught on down there. And when you're fishing it, you can feel it. If you're unfortunate enough, I guess, to get down there before you start getting a ton of bites. But there is so much stuff, and I can't imagine how many hooks and weights we go through if we didn't have this little weedless setup. That was game changer.
Yeah, that's essential.
So if you, once again, you haven't seen that, we'll put a link to it. A little bit tough to describe it and do it on the podcast. And I'm just getting nailed, dude.
Yeah, and so what I've done is I've moved away from that big structure. There's just so much small stuff there right now, and these cars are pretty loud. There we go. Oh, I had something that got me in the structure.
I used that excuse yesterday, too.
We'll see if we can get them out. And so this does happen. So a lot of times, I mean, you're getting your strikes right there. I set the hook, and I think I have it hooked, but I don't feel it. But the key when you are hooked and snagged, or if you're just snagged altogether, is just to get up current, like to get from the other direction, and just give it a different angle. Give it some tugs.
To get a new one.
Sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't.
He's got a big one.
And do the old line snap thing. We're on hard structure. A lot of times just do the old line snap, and sometimes that'll give enough power backwards to get it out. In this case, no such luck. So I'm gonna give it the old final. Hope my FG knot held up. Did not. And that's why you bring multiple rods. Yep, so I was wrapped around that violin. All right.
So, Luke, talk about live shrimp versus dead frozen shrimp.
Live shrimp versus dead shrimp?
Frozen, does it matter? Your shrimp, I mean, obviously you're taking the tail off. It ain't gonna last forever anyways.
Yeah, I mean, live's better, but frozen will work.
Have you done this with frozen at all?
Not serious. I mean, not where I'm actually fishing the hardcore bridges like this, but just off the dock.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely the live shrimp seems to get the most action. But again, the frozen will certainly work. But again, if we just want to go out and just catch a bunch of fish, we could have just small chunks of frozen shrimp, drop it on here in a small hook, and we could be catching a ton of stuff.
Oh. Whew. I got a legit bite on that one.
Yeah.
See if he saved me.
And so you just had to be real mindful of the current. I let mine just kind of get a little bit too close to the piling the last one. And so when I had the bite, I think my line was actually wrapping around the piling, which puts the odds on the fish's favor by far. And so right now we have a cross current. So the current's coming from basically straight ahead. It's not coming straight through these bridge pylons, it's coming from an angle. And so it's a little bit safer to fish from the down current side of the pilings. And all I'm doing is just underhand pitches, a little bit up current, until I get to a point where I think it's gonna drop right on, like just barely to the side, to the down current side of the piling, and then let it drop straight down, and then just feeling for strikes.
I'll go on this side.
So we're gonna go further over here to the left, Joe.
What's that?
We're gonna go further over this way to get away from that loud cars.
Talk about what we experienced yesterday. Got one? Luke, in terms of, it seemed to be fishing the points, meaning the ends of the bridge, of those bumpers seem to work best, to hold the most. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, there's usually the most structure there. What do you got there? Is that a little sea bass? Yeah, a little sea bass.
Little sea bass. Little sea bass.
Yeah, so the ends hold a little bit more fish more consistently, but they'll definitely all work. As long as there's structure and a decent amount of depth and current, there's a very good chance that there's something that'll eat a shrimp. And so the key is just to get it down in their face without getting snagged. And so we're just, even though we've never been here before, haven't caught anything great yet, but we're at least getting some sort of action.
Yep, the tides have turned, my friends. Tides have turned.
I'm just letting you clear out all these little junk fish.
Oh, I hear you.
How about hand me one of those while you're down there?
I hear you.
Yeah, so I'm testing out a new hook here. That's gonna be my excuse, but I am testing out a new hook. And this is one of those hooks that has it's a J hook, but it has like the little bait keeper thing. And so far, I'm not a fan. So I might be switching
Talk about
up.
something else that that we that we used yesterday was, if you saw our Instagram video, it was crazy low tide. Like I'm talking like we could barely get in the boat from the dock. Crazy. Without the poling platform, it would have been really, really tough without a ladder. The good news about that, when you have those crazy low tides, a great tip is sometimes to just explore and go around residential canals. And we went through this one area, and had you gone down there on a normal day, it just looks like, a bunch of docks with some nice, beautiful homes that one day we'll be able to afford. But on a super low tide day, got robbed already, you can see everything. And I'm talking, there's this one area that we never would have guessed, because the water was so far out. Luke, I mean, it was nuts, right? The whole thing was just basically one long, it looked like you would explain it to someone as one long oyster bar. I mean, it was just massive amount of oysters. So, when that tide goes up, I mean, talk about an area is going to be loaded with crustaceans and shrimp and probably a lot of predator fish with the docks there nearby. And that was like, ding, ding, ding. We're going to go back there when the tide starts rising again. And so when there is a super low tide, that is a great thing to do, is go hit up, some canals or maybe areas you hadn't explored much before, and just look for that kind of stuff.
You don't need to hit up, just literally drive around and look.
Yeah, I was blown away with how much structure in terms of oysters was down there. It was like, holy smokes. So we will certainly be going back to that area. And then, of course, on days like that, there's always going to be water underneath these bridges. And the cool part about this is there are bridges pretty much everywhere, from Texas up to Virginia and New York, New Jersey.
Yeah,
you're always going to be able to find some bridges and some docks and places with pilings like this. Yeah, dude, it's crazy how many small fish are down there. Like, I don't know if you guys can see my rod tip, but it is just pop, 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 pop. And I'm waiting for that bigger tug.
So I'm going for a new hook.
But it's so easy to get trigger happy like I just did. Just wait, you'll know, like when that sheepshead hit, it was a different hit. And it can sometimes be confusing when you continually just get bombarded with these hits and you feel one that's slightly stronger, you'll know. I mean, you got the trolling motor, Luke?
Yep.
We're kind of moving to the bridge here. Another reason to always make sure someone is paying attention. Trying to do too many things at once.
It's a quick hook change for myself.
Rigging, putting shrimps on, doing a podcast. Hopefully you guys can see and hear okay. The only negative about this is it's not the best place to do a podcast. For sound, that is. So maybe the Skyway would have been a little bit safer, but
now these fish are in trouble.
What do you got now?
I just got a smaller hook on. This is probably like a size 2. The other one was, I think, a 1 or maybe even a 1/0.
So let's talk about tides in doing this. Do you have to have moving water?
No, I've done it on total slack, and it's been surprisingly good. So slack, it's way easier to fish it on slack. right? Because you don't have to. The current's not going to be taking your bait anywhere crazy. But the fish aren't like they're not as aggressive. So it's kind of kind of pro and a con, just like everything else. But yeah, I typically do best when it's moving a decent amount. Like when it's moving really strong, it's actually really tough. So I like it to be like right about now is actually a good type of current where it's not crazy strong. I mean, I could probably I could swim against it if I really had to.
Oh, so you're a good swimmer now, huh?
But I kind of can a human swim against it? If the answer is no, it's going to be really tough to fish. If the answer is yes, then that's going to be.
Is that how you judge it?
Yeah, that's just an easy way to. If the answer is yes, then then it's going to be enough current to actually get some feeding activity moving. But also
and they're just
slow
loaded
enough.
all in this stretch
Yeah,
here.
there's a bunch of fish down there. There's almost too many little junk fish. So the key really is to find the right depth. So we have 10 rows of pilings, and so in many cases the bigger fish will kind of be in the same area. And so we're just kind of moving along. So I'm going to go skip over to the next column.
Do you like to do what I'm doing? Is kind of raise the rod tip occasionally and
there's something just
kind of pop it off the bottom a little bit? Yeah, there is. They feel like piranha down there.
Yeah,
there's
a bunch.
This is what I imagine it would be like to put my foot in the Amazon with a bunch of piranha. You can just look at them. They annihilated every bit of it. Although they left me, I don't know. Let's see what we do here with just this.
And so we're getting up current from these same columns and fishing the other side of them.
I'm gonna go right in the middle again. I think they're just everywhere. Because remember, even diving, I mean, sometimes right in the middle there'll be some crazy piece of structure.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you always have to fish the pilings. Just, man, keep dropping down, see what happens.
The pilings are guaranteed structure.
Yeah.
In the middle is a.
Yeah, this one doesn't have as much. That last one, they were all in the stack in the middle. Let's put some. Man. So tempting to want to just set the hook like Phil Dance.
Oh. I just cannot
Over
get
that.
it.
Whoa, a little bit too close.
Yeah, and it's really it's a fine art. Sometimes they suck it down. It seems like today, at least for me, they're just not taking it down. I'm missing it. I'm going through a lot of shrimp with not much to report for it.
Shrimp size matter?
Not really. It just needs to be. I like them to be about 3 to 4 inches. Maybe I can say 4 inches would be ideal.
I was robbed. Yeah, they're down there, kids. Check the sound, video. Doggone, you gotta love it when technology keeps on working. So we put a job description out there for a videographer, someone who could come out in the boat with us, and we got a lot of really great resumes and even a couple of you insiders. Thank you guys so much for applying, and we've narrowed it down to a few people. We just right before this had an interview with one that we believe we're going to give an offer to. So by the time you see this, he'll hopefully be with us, and the next time, assuming you guys like this, please let us know. And the best way to do that, the best way, is to go leave us a review. I read all the reviews on iTunes, and if you're not on iTunes, and you leave it on the blog post description. But let us know if you like these. The reason we did this is because it was someone left a comment. They're nice enough to say, guys, I really loved it. He actually said, I felt like I was in the boat with you. Can you do one on fishing bridges and Sheepshead? Yeah, here we are. It all came from feedback. So please leave us a review on iTunes. And if you don't have iTunes, if you're on Spotify or one of the other million places that you can listen to a podcast, please do it on our blog post. That helps us out tremendously. And once again, next time we'll have a videographer that will be here with us, assuming you guys like this style of kind of getting to fish with us live and seeing all the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it should be a whole lot more interactive for you guys in terms of seeing different angles and not just having to see our butts when we're facing the other way, which is why I'm trying to go diagonal here.
Yeah, this current's picking up.
Yeah, it is. And man, they're still just ripping it down there. The little guys. Seeing a lot of bait, little minnows up here at top. See, normally we had a videographer, we could show that kind of stuff. But for right now, it's just you and me, Luke.
Yep.
Like we're camping with a camera. Right there in our faces. Doggone, I got robbed again.
Yeah, so that's been the hook that Joe's using. Is the one I started out with testing, and that thing has been surprisingly good.
And this is Eagle Claw, right?
Yeah, it's just a basic, it's like a plain J-hook Eagle Claw.
Is it even a saltwater version?
I don't think so.
I think
it was so cheap, it was crazy. And then I got some more expensive ones thinking they'd be better, and I cannot get these hook sets.
And guys, if you're not an Insider member, it's time for you to join. Not only do we show you where to fish every week, and like this is the easy stuff. We're already doing things like this, but showing our spots and the pre-trip planning our Insider members.
Finally.
Oh, Luke's on!
Finally.
What do you got there?
It's like a little sea bass.
Man, these sea bass are all over the place. But one of the other things that a lot of members love, besides all this real-time like on-the-water reports, are the discounts. So we have tons of discounts, but I think maybe even more importantly is going out there and testing all this stuff. You can see we got a quantum reel, a toadfish rod. We're constantly going out there with our own money and buying this stuff and putting it to the test. Oh,
yeah,
that was a nice fish there.
Even the cheap stuff like these hooks, I will definitely be showing what not to buy.
Drilled. Yeah, that saves you money. And the hooks, yeah, you can save a couple dollars.
Just time and money, just
every pack. But like even the reels, like some of the reels we've tested, and these are ones that we would have sworn against because it's what we were comfortable with using something else. And I'm not going to name names here on this public podcast, but in the Insider group we do. We're very unbiased and we have zero sponsors, so we can tell you like it is. We're not getting paid by anyone to say, oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yes.
Never would have caught that sheepshead without my Costa glasses on.
Yeah, so we purposely...
I'm not even wearing Costas. I think I'm wearing Smiths. There you go.
Yeah, so
I got my Oakleys on. There you go. I'm messing up all kinds of things, and I don't care because none of them are paying me to say squat about it.
Yeah, so we turn down all sponsorship opportunities, and we instead have these companies sponsor our club members where they get discounts on a lot of actually popular stuff, and it's growing as the club grows. The actual discount program is growing.
Yep.
And so it's been really, really fun.
And we go out and buy the stuff that you guys tell us. I mean, even things that are hundreds of dollars that you might not want to go buy because it might not be the best thing for you. And you're like, hey guys, can you go buy this and give us an unbiased review and tell if it's worth it or not? Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And I mean, we've spent who knows how many thousands of dollars buying things for our members just to go test it out and put it to use, saving you money. Man, there's a lot of fish on this side over here. They are just destroying me. And I didn't even try to set the hook on that one. That was just a pure raw aggression. So Luke, we got to get you on a sheepy, dude. We know they're down there.
Yeah, there's definitely.
And right when we pulled up, do you think maybe go back that first, right when we started?
Yeah, I'm tempted to.
I mean, we saw a couple at the top right when we pulled up.
It was just so loud with this.
I think it's gonna be loud anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure if our audience could tell us, they would agree with that. Oh.
It's another something small here. Another sea bass.
This thing get wrapped so much.
Sea bass are on
fire,
fire,
guys.
over
Even
here.
when I wrap my rod tip, like.
But yeah, so
I don't even know how that.
Sorry
happened.
there, buddy.
This is definitely humiliating. Caught on video. I don't know. After last week, not much could really be worse unless I fell in the water. If you guys missed the last one, sheesh. That was tough. It was tough for me to watch. But then again, I was doing a lot of talking.
See if we can do two fish on the same bait.
I can feel it popping over the structure. Another reason.
Yeah, you have to go weedless to do this.
Dang. Dude, I hope you got a lot more shrimp here. We were burning through them, dude.
Yeah, but
it's a little bit smaller than yesterday.
Want to see one of those? Yeah, and so what it's looking like is that the actual fenders might be the best bet. So I'm gonna go shoot up and we're going to try the up current side of the fenders.
Ooh.
And then we could even switch. We can go across the channel and fish the other side and just stick to the fenders. That's generally the safest bet. I was hoping that the fenders were the only place where all these small fish are congregating, but it seems like they're up and down all these pilings right now.
And even better news is that you don't have to have a boat to do this. I mean, you could certainly do this in a kayak, and many places, right up there, you can actually fish on this bridge from the bridge and just drop down.
Yeah, much easier from the boat, obviously. For this will be tougher with the kayak.
People waving to us.
I would have a much harder time doing this in a kayak, battling the current.
What would you do? Would you tie up?
Yeah, I would anchor up.
Oh, the good brother would hopefully not get stuck on there, but I'm going to go right down behind you.
So I'm going to turn the boat and get another drop on that pine. That felt like a better fish.
Golly, my rod tip. Pop, 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 pop.
And so
pop.
when the current's going, it's smart to use the current to your advantage. So now I don't have to worry about casting like perfectly right on the piling. Like if it was slack current, if there's no current, it would be all about getting a good, accurate cast, like really close to the piling. And there's just so many grunts and stuff down there. This is crazy.
A good place to get some grunts. Grunts are excellent bait.
This is awesome snook bait. Really everything you see is grouper. That's a perfect size bait fish.
And there's probably some grouper down here too. I mean, one cool thing, a little bit tougher with this lighter leader, but every once in a while, dude, that was a nice hit there.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Every once in a while, you'll come across a grouper. Caught a small one, I guess it was last week. A little Captain Tyler Capeller doing some of this, and snook down here in these bridges. So Luke, obviously this time of year, even though we're in our shorts today, it's a pretty warm day for winter time. It's still winter, no matter how you try to slice it. What do you think? Do you do this in the summertime much? I personally have not.
Well, until recently, I haven't done this much at all. But I mean, really, wintertime is going to be the best for sheepshead. But I mean, you could do this any season and catch a good amount of fish.
And all underhand cast. You don't even need to be a good caster.
There we are.
You just a short little rod. Although what do you got?
Sea bass.
Sea bass. That's a bigger one at least.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is something all season long. I mean, absolutely.
So let's talk about the rod too. How important that is to be able to feel. This is definitely a feel game, or you will be robbed faster than you know. What are your thoughts there? Do you have a certain? There we go. Certain type of
So you need a good rod. I would suggest getting a much better rod than a reel. As far as expenditure, I put way more emphasis on my rod than I do my reel. And I used to do the opposite for many years, and I realize now that I wasted a lot of money. Because the rod is really what does the leg work. If you're just going to be soaking cut bait on the bottom and you don't need to feel the strike, you don't need to make accurate casts, and just all you need is just a reel to handle some like whatever big fish might come across.
Whoa. Well, as you might have seen, this thing, I believe, is now completely toast, including the nice $600 each microphones. Big old boat came by. We were both rigging up. Did not see that coming at all. I'm hoping, we're still recording this, we're here at the bridge.
I wasn't rigging up, I was fishing. I'm used to my GoPro sitting in there, and I never even worried about it. Totally not on the radar. That was an expensive podcast.
Yeah, it was. So like $3,200 camera or so, and plus the mics. Yeah, so I threw a bunch of fresh water. I don't know that it's going to do anything at all, but we're going to take it back as quick as we can, try to salvage at least the mics. I'm pretty sure the camera is shot. It went all the way in. I happened to jump with my cat-like reflexes and grab it while it was in the water before it sank down to the bottom. So at least we have a memento of this podcast. So please, for the sake of losing all this and how expensive this was, please give it a like. Please go give us a review. That would help us out. It would be worth every single dollar in blood, sweat, and tears and my hurt leg from jumping across the boat. So thank you guys so much for all the love. Give us a review on the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and please join the Insider Club if you haven't. Thank you guys so much. We are out. Lukey.
Let's head home and see if we can salvage this puppy.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was pain.